Hey, Anniken, good afternoon. How are you?
I am good. So nice to see you.
Great to see you. Well, I have a lot of questions, and I know you help like thousands of people. So I'll start with my first, and we'll just go from there. But you just came back from California. I think over there you even hear it more, the whole wellness and Big Sur. They have a place everyone talks about our potential. You help people level up, and you hear about all these strategies. My question is like, do you really believe that that's like one, two, three, four, five steps will help everyone level up or everyone get to their potential? Because I'm kind of skeptic about it, but I would love to hear your take on that.
So my take is that whoever promises you a quick fix, like these and these steps, and everything will be sorted, they are lying because there's no quick fix and there's no easy way out. So really finding or growing into your potential. It's a lifestyle. It's nothing you'd like check into today and then you're done tomorrow. It's a lifestyle and you're constantly evolving, you're constantly progressing and learning. And personally, I think it's the most fun lifestyle you can have. And I have a feeling that you agree.
I actually, with this, I do agree, and I really connect to what you said, a lifestyle. And but what I won't, I personally, I will say I do connect, but I just spoke to someone that I work with him, and you said it's first I want you to explain more what you mean when you mean the word lifestyle. And then what you mean when it says fun, because when I spoke to that person, he was like, yeah, like I had enough, the exercise, it's too hard for me and I can't do it. And eating healthy, like it's not for me. So what do you mean when it's a lifestyle? And what do you mean that it's fun?
Yeah, so first of all, lifestyle, it refers to, if we speak about like now, or of course, I'm into the personal development realm. And if we use the metaphor of going on a diet, which a lot of people can refer to, like going on a diet. Um, you know that going on a diet means that you're doing something which is not really you. You're doing it for a short period. And what happens afterwards? Well, you will go back to whatever it was like before. So it doesn't give lasting results. It will help you change how you feel and look and your health for a certain period of time. And really, it is what we do every day that gives results. And personal development and creating a life you love, it's like, you can have one realization today and you can make some changes today and you can get to a place today. And tomorrow, then maybe your head will open up for something new and a new door will open and you will keep progressing. So we can't expect, and I know that people would just want to have the magic pill, like make me happy, make me healthy and
Yeah,
everything
like two
today.
seconds and it's yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't
The
work.
thing is like physiologically, like biologically, we are not happy if we're not putting in effort. And this has to do with our ancestors, what life was like before. So when we're working towards a goal, our body will produce a lot of dopamine, which is what makes us happy and motivated, gives us drive. And the body releases dopamine when you're working to get to a goal, to get somewhere. And imagine that if you were already there in all your goals, your life was perfect, you had done everything possible, and you were there would be no need for your body to produce dopamine. Dopamine gets you up in the morning, it helps you move your body, it makes you happy and motivated. And a life without dopamine is a very empty life. So we need to like take this concept of getting to a perfect goal and being happy forever there. We just need to throw it out and start to love the process. And also when dopamine is like our brain's most valuable currency, and we're driving ourselves towards whatever gives dopamine. And if we're not careful, we can easily go to the sources which give us the quick dopamine, like scrolling on your phone or eating some, sweet or junk food or whatever. So those release quick dopamine. The thing is that when we like use those quick dopamine sources, it will spike our dopamine. And after that, it will make our dopamine levels drop even further down, like below our baseline. And when we do it the opposite way around, when we work hard to get to the place where we get dopamine, it will spike, the dopamine levels will rise, and they will go back to to baseline again. Because we are meant to work hard in order to reach our goals. So our system just doesn't, is not adapted to having all that free dopamine just flowing. So yeah, that was a long answer.
I know you said it was so many great things, and I want people just to stop for a second and understand that, like you just said, we were meant to work hard in order to, I always say anything worthwhile in life has work behind it. I also work with investors and different type of people, and if you just get something, you might, it's nice, but in order to really appreciate it, you need to work hard. In order to run a marathon or ultra marathon, you don't just get like the process is much more enjoyable, and sometimes not. Sometimes you're like, oh my God, I don't want to get out of bed, and like, or peaking a mountain. It's like I went to peak a mountain in the Himalayas, and when I got to the top, it was nice, but it's not the goal that we get to, it's the process. And I really connect to what you say there. I want you to touch about a few ways we could increase our dopamine in a healthy way. But a second before that, back to working hard. And this is something I think you do a lot with your people. By the way, I said thousands, but the people you hope, I think it's much more because you just now hope someone and you have no clue if maybe that dinner he was with his family or friends and he hoped someone else and that had a ripple effect and someone else. So I'm saying it's beautiful and thank you for your work. It's really beautiful. I just want people to understand going back to the hard work. Hard work is something good. Now, as we we go through that hard work, we need to understand that necessarily, people that I work with, they told me I didn't get up in the morning or I ate this donut. I said, oh, all good. It's part of the path. Like persistence means that you'll try. It won't some of the times you'll fail and then you get up and you learn, okay, why did I fall? Don't beat yourself up. Learn, move forward. Like it's not that if we're persistent, like, okay, everything we'll always do it. Yes, we'll try. And by the way, sometimes we won't and accept it. It's fine. So I just before you give those, advice about dopamine, I want people to understand that hard work is great. Sometimes you won't be up for it, and that's fine. Accept it. Be okay with yourself. I used to like criticize myself like crazy. So today I'll say, okay, it's not good. I'm not saying it's good. It's not good. Okay, what can I learn and move forward? So just that's about the hard work. I think it's a beautiful thing to understand. Anything worthwhile in life has work behind it. So thank you for putting that in. And if you could give us some, ideas about how to increase our dopamine in a way that is healthy for us, because as you said, you have if you get dopamine some spikes, so you'll feel nice for a little bit, but then that won't hold. And not only that won't hold, that spike that you took, now you need much more because you get used to it. So I would appreciate it if you give some, ideas for people how to increase the dopamine in a way that is healthier for them.
Yeah, and this is very, very interesting. So, like, we all have our baseline of dopamine. Some have more dopamine, those are the people who are like really happy, really energetic, and some have lower levels, and that's okay. So, you have your level, and you really want to make sure that that is that the level stays there. So I think of it as a pool, where when you do a lot of those activities that gives you the quick dopamine, like think of it as a pool and then waves just like splashing outside of the pool, the water goes out and the level goes down. So that's like a good picture of how you can look at the dopamine system. So like it's not bad to do stuff that releases dopamine. Like we do it all the day and we're meant to do it. And we are getting more dopamine, like their body's regenerating the dopamine. So it's not like we have one amount forever. Like every day there's new dopamine coming into the system.
Mhm.
So some of those quick dopamine release things will lower the level. And what can you do to make sure that you increase the level or like maintain the level? And those are really simple things, actually. It's enough sleep
What
and
we'll do today.
rest. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I really like, there's one special technique called Yoga Nidra, which is a relaxation technique. I use it almost every day. And it is really just, if you Google it online, you can find so much on YouTube also, just like So yoga nidra and research shows that, of course, it's really great for like catching up on sleep if you've like sleep deprived or like it has a lot of healthy effects. And one of the effects it has is that is it replenishes your dopamine levels. So by doing like 10 minutes or 20 minutes every day of this technique, you can really replenish your dopamine levels. And I think in general, a healthy, normal lifestyle will just helping your body to do what your body does best. And the way and the way you put your body out of balance is, of course, lots of screen time, lots of scrolling, shopping, Netflix, all of that stuff. So myself, I'm very logged on during the day, during my work hours, and after dinner, like I go have dinner with my family, my kids. After that, I am off screens. So it's really just giving my body and mind a period of the day where I can just, yeah, relax really.
I love that, and I really connect to what you said about, being off screens. Also, when I, before I go to sleep, an hour or two before, until after my morning rituals, I shut my internet and just, some time. It's like we sign a contract with the world that we're always there for them, but we forget about ourselves. So like, eventually once my grandmother told me if you'll always be there for other people, eventually your energy will be out. Like, so I believe that, each person must invest in themselves, not because they're the core, because they have unique gifts in them. And when you invest in yourself, it's like you charge your battery and then you can serve a purpose that is greater than yourself. And by the way, each person is different the way that they serve. And I want to go back for a second to what you said about the healthy habits in life. And over here, I have a question that I think could be challenging. I would love to hear your answer on that. So, everyone talk about the same, a little bit here, a little bit there, about some nutrition, some sleep, some, reducing stress, breathing, exercise, all that, relationships. My question is, it's really nice to talk about all that when we're sitting here and you're back in your country and I'm here in a nice, beautiful place. But when you're in a place, forget about the location, but when you're in a place inside that it's like, you know what, Anniken, I had it like I had enough. I'm done. I'm done. I tried this. I tried that. Like when I'm in a mental place that I had enough, how do I get that key to access these healthy habits? Number one. And number two, I know you also work with the subconscious NLP and things like that. I might say I want different things, but if there are things in the subconscious that are stopping me, so it's really nice all this talk about healthy life, but how do I access that? So maybe I have no power in me, or maybe I'm powerless because the subconscious is kind of blocking me.
Yeah, and it is normally always the subconscious that is blocking you. So, okay, so let me just understand your first question. So, how if you're in place where you had enough, does that mean that you've been trying to do a lot of things and it's not working, or what do you
Oh,
think?
you're in a place that you feel powerless. Maybe I've tried many things and they're not
Mm,
working. Maybe I just I hear about all this, but I don't know. It's they're they have their story. In their case, they could do it. I can't. Like people just feel that they had enough, whether they tried or they didn't try it, but they know it's good, but they don't have the power to do it.
yeah.
Okay,
So, okay,
that's a
so
good question. But,
it's yeah, and it's so interesting, and it's connected to the subconscious mind, of course. So we, there are a lot of things which are affecting our motivation and our feeling of being empowered. And if we just look at some basic things that does affect it, sleep, for example. If we haven't slept enough and if we're tired and stressed, it does affect our how we feel. Like, do we feel empowered? Do we have the energy to actually go and exercise, choose that healthy food, and do those things? And when we're sleep deprived, when we're stressed, when nothing is working, for me, the best thing is really to take a time out, time off, like say no to like go through my calendar, what can I cancel, make sure I schedule enough sleep because that's really, really the place we have to start like regain our energy because changing habits means that we're building new pathways in our brain and our brain is the organ in our body that uses the most amount of energy, like sugar, glucose. So to like to start on like a habit changing project and like all these new routines and all, if it's not part of our daily routine and there's stuff we want to get into doing, like exercise, nutrition, whatever, it does require extra energy. So if we don't have any extra energy, we're already starting in a place where we will not feel like it. And our brain is always, always trying to keep us from spending energy because our ancestors, like in the early days, a couple of million years ago, we had little energy. Like food was a scarce resource. So our brains are programmed into making sure that we don't spend unnecessary time or energy or resources. And how that shows up is all these bad excuses coming into our mind, right? Oh, I was going to go for a run, but oh, my foot hurt, or it's raining, and all these excuses. And we start believing them because our brain is like really good at talking us into like saving energy and also keeping us safe. And our brain is always, always trying to keep us safe. And what is unsafe and what is safe, the brain doesn't always know. So it puts all new habits into the category of potentially unsafe. And all the old habits, the stuff you've thought before, felt before, done before, that's safe for your brain because it's not necessarily something that makes you happy,
Yeah.
but there are no surprises. The brain knows exactly what's going on. If you say you're going to go for a run, and instead, what you've been doing like month after month is choosing to lie on the couch and eat potato chips and watch Netflix, if you've done that again and again and again, your brain is like, perfect. It's so safe. I know exactly what is going to happen. There are no surprises. So it's going to do everything it can to like steer you into repeating that old habit.
Even though it
And
damages your life. Yeah.
yeah, and the new habit is maybe potentially it's a good habit that will be really good for you. But for your brain, it has no idea. It doesn't separate good from bad. It's just like unknown or known. It's like dangerous or not dangerous. So everything that is new is unknown, so it could potentially be dangerous. So your brain is using all the forces it has to like drive you away from it and to keep you repeating the old patterns. So you already have it's hardwired in all humans. So we need to know about it and we need to recognize when you say you're going to go to the gym. And even me, like I work out every day at home because it's so comfortable. And now I was like speaking to my husband and he's like, yeah, you should get a PT now to really get in better shape for your surfing. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's so much more time efficient to do it at home and blah, blah, blah. He's like, just go do it. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll go do it. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna text this PT I know, and I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow, and I'll do it tomorrow because it's new. It's a new habit. It's going out of the house, it's traveling, it's going to a gym where there are a lot of other people, being vulnerable because I haven't been to a gym for a long time. So many someone is analyzing how well I exercise, so all that stuff is going through your brain, and your brain is like, hell no, that's so dangerous. It's so scary. Stick to the old habit.
You
So
know.
we need to just like recognize that these are the processes. This is what is happening. Your brain is creating stressful feelings around the new habit and it's creating a lot of good feelings around the old habit, and you automatically drive towards the good feelings without you being conscious of it. And your brain wants you to save energy, all that stuff, so it will come up with all those excuses. So these forces are in play for every single person every single day, and we need to know that. And there's more stuff, and yeah.
No, no, that's really important to understand because you would think that, if like that your brain will help you or your subconscious will help you doing things that serve you, not the opposite. But what you're saying is that basically it prefers to stay in the area that it's known and it knows what's happening there. And it would stop you, like you say, you won't shoot that text in order to get that training or each person in his life. My question is, how do you break through that pattern? Because so many things are good for us to do in life. But like you say, our subconscious will say, hey, like, no, it's okay. You used to do that. Do whatever you did until now. You'll be fine. Not only that, it would tell you why it's good that you shouldn't. So No, actually, I might be like I'm just using your example, but I could also give it at myself. But I might be better training at home. I might, if let's say you want to go and visit friends, and so I told you, no, you shouldn't go. I think social interaction is important. You shouldn't go because maybe now reading a book will be better for you. I'm saying it not only that it's fine with whatever it knows and it wants to stay there, it would even be like the your lawyer telling you why you should stay where you are. So I'm wondering at first, does willpower help break that pattern, number one? And number two, which is together with one number one, if it's not willpower, what is it we could do to break that pattern? Because at the end of the day, we do want to get into certain habits that would make our life better. Like you said, we need to put work into it. Like you said at the beginning, a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Yeah. It's
How
a
do we break
good
the pattern?
question. Good question. So yes, using willpower can get you to a place, because one of the ways that we change the patterns is by repetition over time. So if you use all your willpower every day to force yourself to go to the gym, eventually that you will create a new pattern. The thing is, willpower, it necessitates so much energy. And why is that? The concept of willpower means that you need to go against friction. You need to go against the emotions that your brain, actually the unconscious part of your brain, is creating. And we know that emotions are the strongest driving forces ever. And I think everyone listening can resonate with that. Like they've said, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to eat healthy. And before they know it, there's this force coming over them and just like they ate the whole pizza or whatever, right? And I have no idea what happened. It was just like this force, and I felt helpless. So, our unconscious mind is creating these emotions to drive us towards repeating the old habits and away from the new habits. So using willpower means that we need to go against that. And it is such hard work. It requires so much energy and it creates so much internal stressful feelings. And I used to do that. In my early life, whenever I wanted a change, I was like, okay, I just set my mind to it and I have to be strong and just push through. And I think people can resonate with this because what happens when you go against, you need to remember that your brain thinks you're going to die. And you're saying, whatever, brain, we are going to do this anyway. So, and the more you're trying to steer the ship in the opposite direction of what your brain wants, the more like stressful emotions it will create and the more willpower you will need. So it's just like a fight against the strongest forces that you have that are inside of you that really drive everything. So of course it is tiring. It requires a lot of energy and it will create a lot of uncomfortable feelings on the inside. And how good is your life if it's filled with inner stress all the time? How good is it? I was there before and I had so much inner stress because I was forcing myself using willpower and I ended up just distancing myself from all those emotions because it was overwhelming. It was so like I became really hard on the inside and on the outside in order to deal with it. And I was like forcing down all the emotions. And you can't force down or push down the negative emotions and let the positive ones up. Like it's either you force down all the emotions or they all come up. So you can't separate them. So like relying on willpower, it means that you go into life where your inner emotional world is really stressful, really uncomfortable, and you're really unfree because you need to make all these rules and is so and as you said, like if you didn't manage to do what you had planned, then you'll end up criticizing yourself and you think you failed and you weren't strong enough and all that stuff that people go through that I went through as well before I knew how we actually function, knew how the brain works. So yeah, to answer your question, you can use willpower. I don't recommend it. And it will take you it will take you to maybe a goal and still like if you really want to rewire those unconscious habits, Imagine that if you use smarter techniques, you can change it like this within a few weeks. If you use willpower, maybe you need to like go on for years before you actually change that habit and you have all those negative emotions and it's not really comfortable. Okay, enough talk. How do you do it then?
Well, no, I think we'll talk now in a second how do you do it, but that's really important to understand because many people these days talk about willpower, and I'm also similar to you. You know, nowadays like be strong, get up, go. But eventually, first willpower is I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying that alone I don't think it could take you. And more than that, if you don't work and change patterns, which you're going to talk about in a second, sometimes also you could work too hard. You know, I was actually studying pretty hard, I'll say. And I said, oh, willpower. Eventually, I didn't sleep. And we'll talk about sleep maybe after, but which is really important. And then, I was doing pull-ups, and then like I got a stab, and I fell, and I was like, willpower, get up. I go up, and then another stab, and I'm like, okay. So I'm saying willpower, it has its place, but I much more connect to what you said that now you're going to say what can we do? But we need to understand that willpower alone, whatever you want to talk about, willpower, push through. It's a part, but there are much more parts. So I would love to hear about the parts,
Yeah.
how can we, get to our
Yeah.
go in and have a better life. So
And thanks for sharing that part as well about you using willpower and just getting up. Your body was telling you something and you're like, no, no, I have to push through. And I think we most people can resonate with that and understand it. And we have built our society around the idea that if you don't reach your goals, you are weak. You know, you need to be stronger and just push through. And it is not the way to reach your goals and to create change. Okay, so how do we do it then? So there are many ways in, and of course, a lot of things we can do, and always working with like a coach who can help you reprogram your unconscious mind is great. And there's still so many things you can do on your own. So I spoke about how it's the emotions that are driving us. We need to understand that every second of our day, of our life, our brain is doing its best to keep us safe. How does it do it? It does it by driving us towards safety and away from danger. What is dangerous? What is safe? We don't always know. But whenever there are uncomfortable emotions somewhere, your brain goes, oh, this is dangerous. And where there are comfortable emotions, your brain goes, I want to bring you there. So we can be really smart about it and we can reprogram what we feel about things. You know, going to the gym. Naturally, some stress will occur. Naturally, because it's a new habit, the brain wants to protect us, and we can use certain techniques to create positive emotions around going to the gym. And if we practice these techniques for a while, your brain will naturally go, "Oh, going to the gym. That's safe. I have a lot of positive emotions connected to it. Let's go to the gym." And then it will happen without you having to force you. It will naturally be a thing that you're driving towards. So I think like before you start that path and start practicing, we have a lot of mental techniques that we can use to achieve that. And I think it's smart to like take one step back before we do that and ask ourselves, okay, so what is my vision for my life? Like, what is the life I want to live? Like, how does it look like? Who do I want to be? How do I want to feel like? Because very often society just pushes stuff on us. Like, there's so many goals in society. You need to look away or do like the definition of success that society has doesn't necessarily match your success, your definition of success. So what is that? What is really, if you go deep inside of you, what is the life that you want to live? What is important to you? Like, what are your values? And it will be different from every person. And when you are trying to create change, a new habit, or reach a goal which is not based on your inner values, your vision, it's not going to last. The motivation is not going to last, and it is going to create inner stress. And inner stress, again, creates all the negative emotions. And what does your brain do? It moves you away from it, right? So if you want to create sustainable, lasting change, first of all, check in. What are my values? What is my vision? How do I want my life to be? And then when you start planning your goals and the new habits you want, if they are aligned with the life you want to live, which is based on what is important to you, you will naturally be creating all those good emotions around it. So already you're starting with a driving force towards doing that before you even start doing any of the mental techniques, because that is how you create more motivation and drive and focus and everything. So really just tapping into what is inside of you.
That's beautiful. So you're saying that if I connect now to what's inside of me, so I connect to emotions, and when I connect to emotions, so then I could do some changes. Because when I have some positive emotions around the gym, so then I'll do that. So my question is, I like the part about emotions, and I think it's really important. Someone that doesn't really, like you're talking about a vision in life and all that, someone that has no clue where to start with a vision, where does he start? And I'll add to that, I think emotions are important, and all of them are there. And with that said, I think we also need to always remember each emotion, it might be a part of us, and none of the emotions are all of us. It could be one part. So whatever emotion is, always important to remember that, because some emotions will be more pleasant, some less, but that's just in
Mm.
terms of that. But I would love to hear your take on what does someone like, if someone has some type of a vision, whatever, beautiful. So he'll build like positive emotions around those things that help him. And by the way, I think he will need some will, or he will need some willpower and need to push through for sure. But that would be in addition to those positive emotions. But
Mm.
that's if you have some type of vision. If you don't, where do you start?
Yeah, so very, very good question. And I love that you bring up the fact about our emotions. They are there and they are valid and they're there for a reason. So accepting all of our emotions is so, so important in order to have positive and sustainable change. So I love that you brought that up. And so the driving forces we have are the the what we call positive emotions. I don't really like that explanation, but let's just play with it. The positive emotions, those are the comfortable ones. Our brain likes them, so it will drive you towards them. Um, and yeah, I know a lot of people have lived their whole life based on what society expects of them. And they have, because a lot of people have uncomfortable emotions and our brain thinks it's scary, and we end up like putting a lid on all of it. As I said earlier, if we put a lid on some emotions, we put a lid on all emotions. And because of that, a lot of people are like, my vision, my values, is there something that is important for me? Is something more meaningful? Does something give me energy and make me happy? And a lot of people are not in touch with that yet. And back to what we said in the beginning, this is not a quick fix. It is a process, and everyone can get more in touch with what gives them a feeling of meaning and happiness. And this is really the path you want to take. So my best advice is to be patient. You can start asking yourself, like when you do something, does how do I feel when I do it? Like, does this make me happy? Does this give me energy? And if we're honest with ourselves, if we're in a situation, we're doing something in our life and we're feeling, if we start being aware of it, we'll notice if something is draining us of energy. That will be a clear indicator that we're off the path that is chosen for us, really. So the more we just listen to check in with ourselves, what's on the inside, what makes me happy and what drains me of energy, what gives me energy, what drains me of energy, that will start giving us a clear idea of our values and what we want our life to be like. So just be patient, keep asking yourself these questions, be curious, what gives me energy, what drains me of energy, and then also you can start thinking, okay, maybe I want to get in better shape, and then check in. Okay, so what feeling am I after? When I get in better shape, what feeling do I think that will give me? And that is a really good place to start because our life is about like. The quality of our life is really what is going on the inside. We think it's the beautiful house or the beautiful body or whatever. Our life is defined by how we feel on the inside. So when we set a goal that we want to reach, it's not the goal, it's what we think it will make us feel like on the inside. So if we start asking ourselves, okay, I want to point out a direction in life. I'm not really sure. That's fine. It will come when we start going into this lifestyle. Just ask yourself, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel? Most people will say, I want to feel happy, fulfilled, all that stuff. And then, okay, so what do I think will bring me to that place where I feel happy and fulfilled? And there's no right or wrong. And what you say today might be something different the next year or the year after that because we're constantly in development. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to know everything now. And life is still long. It's a process and you'll be learning every day.
Wow, that's really beautiful. I also really connect to what you said about the feeling. How do I want to feel and understand? And I think this point is really important to understand what I want now. And I think, that's my goal, that feeling. And maybe in a year or two, I want something else. Maybe even necessarily I want something else if I'm in progress. And understanding what you said at the beginning of that, we're here, it's a path, it's a process. Also, that goal that we have wherever it is, when we get there, it turns into part of the path, into part of the process. So that understanding it, it's not that I'll get there and then I'm done. Like the process is what gives you the energy. Yes, there are days in the process. There's no energy. That's fine. Accept it. It's part of the path. Again. So I think it's really beautiful to also understand the concept of what I want to feel. Because if we'll always point outside, I'll get this or that or him or her, then I'll be fine. Like basically we're locking ourselves in jail because we're dependent on someone else or something else. You reminded me now. I met someone that if I'll say her name, probably almost everyone know her. She's really famous around the world. And I spoke to her about her family, and she told me about all of the other things that other people have and she doesn't. And like in my mind, I was like, wow, like she has so much things in life, but she's like talking what she doesn't have. So I'm saying even if and everyone will probably dream to be in her place. I don't know if everyone, but a lot. So I'm saying when you understand what you want to feel, it has nothing to do with people outside. And think what it is that you could do. I will say alone, even though I know people are important, really important to have social interactions, but don't be dependent on the outside things like the joy you'll find within. I always say that the most amazing things in life are the ones we take for granted. So, and I think that the danger over here, I'll say, and then I might have another question. The danger is to say, okay, well, if everything is beautiful, so nothing is bad. And like you said before, we can't put it under the carpet. I always believe I do the gratitude meditation every day, and not because there's no challenges. Yes, there are challenges, but remember there's a lot of beauty that's right here, right there. Otherwise, also when you'll get to all those things like the person I just mentioned, you'll never realize. So you have that gratitude, you look for that good feeling for it to help you move forward and continue the process, continue the journey. So I really connect over there to what you said. With that said, I'll say that when you go on that journey, we both know that, Anniken, there are days that we're not into it and the stress level goes up. And you spoke about now different ways how to do it. By the way, you mentioned sleep, which I think is like, today when we have our schedule, so if we want to get something into the schedule, we reduce sleep. Like that's so that it should be the opposite. It's like first sleep and then understand. But so that's one way to reduce stress. But I would love to hear about, if you could please mention a few more ways that you recommend to reduce stress, because when you go on that path, necessarily don't feel wrong. I believe at least you can disagree, it's fine. But that if there are days that we feel like we're not up to it or we're just down and we're really stressful. So what can we do in addition to sleep and yoga nidra? In order to reduce that stress. And again, I'll say, like you mentioned at the beginning, there's no one size fit all. So what now Anniken is going to say is beautiful, and whoever's listening, it's your toolbox. You have a toolbox, add whatever you want to your toolbox. It's your unique toolbox, and like Anniken said, it's your unique path. So add what you want and decide how you can reduce that stress. So with all that said, I would love to hear from you some more ideas about reducing stress because I think that's really helpful in order to continue on that journey.
Yeah, and it's so true what you say. There's not one size fits all. And I think it's important that we also bring up the concept of balance because I think we imagine balance as being like a final goal we get to where everything is perfect. And balance is a process. If you can. visualize someone who's balancing. I don't know if you've done a yoga pose, you're standing there, or if you're balancing on a line, whatever. It's not static. You're moving from side to side. And that's the same way with balance in your life. So we get tools that we can use to reduce stress and increase our health. And it will still be a process of learning. We go to this side and then we adjust, and then we go to that side and then we adjust. When it comes to reducing stress, there are like two main approaches. The way I see it is the one coming from like the outside, taking care of the physical body, and then we have the mental and emotional body, and they are both equally important because our physical body will affect our mind and our emotions, and our mind and our emotions will affect the physical body. So we need to really look at both ways of working towards having a more healthy and balanced life. So, like, okay, so what can we do? I think a lot of people are aware of, sleep, exercise, get outside and get fresh air. Daylight, sunshine is so important for our health. Like those basic things. I think a lot of people are aware of it, and I need to mention it again and again. And a lot of people think that, okay, I just need to reduce stress. I need to bring my stress levels down. And one thing which is important in order to have a healthy nervous system is that you actually have periods where you are super stressed. It can be through exercise, whatever, holding a presentation, because the flexibility of your nervous system, your ability to actually go into parasympathetic mode is correlated with the ability to get the stress levels up. Like we are meant to get our stress levels up.
You think that's part
And
of the process? Like we need to
yeah,
have high stress?
yeah, we need to like, because imagine if you were just like, I'm not going to do anything stressful. I'm just going to rest. Your nervous system is plastic, just as your brain, it's constantly adapting. And if your nervous system doesn't have any stress at all, that it will not be able to tolerate, it will be tolerating less and less stress. So the more you exercise, going for a run, going to the gym or climbing a mountain, that is stress on your system, which is super healthy. And after you've done that, you should bring it down again. So it's like it's going up in stress levels and then down. That will give you a healthy nervous system. We're not meant to be in stress all the time. We're meant to go there and then come back to rest. So I think a lot of people get that wrong because they're only thinking about the rest, 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 rest. And in order to actually bring your system into rest, you need to go into stress. And this is super interesting. So it gives you a healthy and flexible nervous system when you can go up in stress and then down into relaxation. So of course, having like too much stuff on your to-do list, the calendar, which is too full, at some point it will be too much for you. And it can be like things like drinking too much coffee. It also it amps up your nervous system, and that will create stress if you don't have a break. If you're constantly feeding like information, screen time, stuff just like emails, messages, phones, and all that stuff which is stressing your system, it will just go up, 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 and you will never give it rest. So, in terms of the physical body, and I'm sure people watching, already know a lot about that. There's so much stuff out there on what you can do to really get your body to relax physically. Using breath is like one of the quickest tools we have for relaxing the body, and it's super, super powerful. And then we have, the inner part, the mental and the emotional part, because that is really where most of our stress comes from. It is
Before
what
this,
we think.
Anniken, before
Yeah.
you go into the inner part, I really want to emphasize, you said over here something so beautiful that necessarily we need to have, that stress. And then you said the other part is, and this is why I want people, if you're not having any stress, go and get it. But if many people today stress themselves out and they think that the rest time is no, that's a waste of time. And you're saying no, the rest time is that's it's equal, all good. You're saying all good. Stress, it's fine, it's good, even help you. But in order for you to get that result from the stress, now balance it with the time that you rest. and it's not a waste of time. It's actually it's both. You need both together in order to get stronger. So that's so important you said that because many times people say rest, I have no time, I need to do this and that. So thank you very much. I stopped you in the middle, but that's so important. So thank you very much for putting the emphasis over there.
Oh yeah, yeah, so important. And I'm sure it has been the same for you also. Like, want to be productive, I have so much to do, I don't have time to rest. And you can keep on going on like that for a while, and at some point it doesn't work anymore. So, we get all that dopamine from being productive and we feel valuable and all that stuff. And I've had to learn to really like to rest, to do a yoga nidra in the middle of the day, to take time to meditate in the morning. And, back to what I said earlier, you have like you, me, and a lot of people listening probably had a lot of good feelings around being productive. Oh, that makes me feel good, so I want to do more of it. Resting personally, I had so many like bad feelings around it. Like if I was like, okay, maybe I should rest, and my whole body would go like, no, 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 this is really uncomfortable and create a lot of stress, and that would just keep me moving on. So the way I changed that habit was through creating positive emotions around the habit of resting. As you say, it's one of the most productive things we can do. So just realizing that if you're listening and you have like the same thing that you need to do a lot of stuff and that's only the place you get the positive emotions and you think about the downtime as unproductive, you're not valuable, all that stuff, start to create positive emotions around the rest time. And how do you do that? It's like, okay, you can just talk to yourself, say that this is important for me, this will help me perform at a higher level. It will give me better focus, more motivation, better health. It will help me actually to get my job done quicker. And then feel how you feel after you have actually rested. Because every time you maximize those feelings and connect them to a habit, then your brain will go, ooh, they're positive emotions connected to this habit. I will want to do it.
Beautiful.
And be really aware of what you say because I was like, before, I was like, I hate relaxing in the middle of the day. It's really bad. And, it makes me feel depressed if I have to lie down in the middle of the day and relax. And if I say those things, what does my brain do? It's like, oh, you hate it and it makes you depressed. I'm going to make sure that you're not going to do that, you
Yeah.
know? So we need to speak about it in the way that creates positive emotions. So your brain goes, ah, you like resting. Ah, you realize it's important for you. Ah, you realize it's good for your motivation, your productivity, your health. Oh, let's go do it. So just creating positive emotions around the habits that you want to do. And by doing that for a while, then you'll be able to change it. Yeah. And of course, we could also come back more to the unconscious mind. And there are, of course, a lot of things we can say about it. A lot of people have heard when they were small that relaxing is not good. It's unproductive. You're not valuable. You need to, produce. And the stuff we hear when we're small, our brain just absorbs it and it creates habits. It becomes part of our identity. And I worked with a lot of clients who are just like, for example, maybe they had a sick parent, and then maybe the mom was sick and had to relax, and the father is just like, okay, you need to help with doing the dishes and preparing dinner because mom needs to relax. Remember that she's sick. And for small child, like this is like, it's a thing every parent could say. And then the child's brain will interpret that as, okay, if I don't work hard, it's going to be bad for my mom. And for a little child, the most important thing in life is to have parents who are there and can take care of you, right? And if a parent can't take care of a child, then the child is in danger.
Mhm.
So similar episodes like that is often what people have experienced in their childhood, which has created beliefs in the unconscious mind saying that resting is dangerous, someone will die, you will die if you rest. And and we can get to that by be getting aware of it, like what is actually the driving force, what happened when I was a child, and then decide to think of it in another way. And this is also stuff you can do with you if you work with a coach who works with unconscious mind.
So
I
it's like
just want
reframing the meaning you get to, for example.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I wanted to bring it up because we got into it earlier, and there is still a lot more to be said about the unconscious mind, and I think that yeah, we have the programs that drive us that we mentioned, and which by becoming aware, we can change how our brain or mind is driving us towards safety and good emotions, and we also need to remember that during childhood, our brain is just absorbing everything and it is interpreting the world around us. And a child's brain doesn't understand much about the world, and still it has to interpret the world. And whatever the 5-year-old interpreted, it is stored as a pattern in the unconscious mind, and it will drive you as a habit for the rest of your life unless you become aware of it and start changing it. And you can go and work professional with someone and it will be really efficient. And you can do so much on your own by stopping, by asking yourself, okay, every day every time I go to sit down and relax, I get this uncomfortable feeling inside of me. What is actually that? And then people start reflecting and then suddenly like, oh, when I was a kid, my grandparents told me that, hard work is the only valuable thing, or like, and then when you become aware of it, that it's something that your brain just thought was real and adopted as a habit when you were a child, then you can choose to stop believing it and believe something else instead. So I just wanted to say that before we continued.
I think that that's beautiful. Awareness is so important and so crucial. And with that said, also someone that is not aware, like all of us, there are many things we're not aware. It's a process. And I'll go back to what you said at the beginning always, because none of these things are like quick fixes. These are things that will, like you're working hard on the foundation in order to build a beautiful house in you. So when you're aware, you see that then you're able to start to work. And I think that's so beautiful because you said before there are some people, right? You said some people go through their whole life and they're not aware of those things and they're basically stuck in certain patterns when they were 3 years old and whatever their mother, grandmother, grandfather said. So, practicing that awareness and understanding it's a practice is when I think, Deepak Chopra, I think, says that like basically a few people say that we are basically awareness. So we're a consciousness awareness, we're aware. We're a spiritual being having a human experience. That's a different conversation. But the the awareness part is so crucial. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. And I think going back to stress, that can also help us. You were talking before about certain ways before I was bothering you, but certain ways to reduce stress. And I think bringing the awareness in there can help us do it much earlier because otherwise we can continue going through life and sometimes we won't be aware that we're stressed. We're like, yeah, no, it's fine. We're good. It's part of it. We're productive. We're good. And then we just crash, whether we crash physically, we crash emotionally, and different things like that. So I really do appreciate you bringing that up. I would also like to know, you mentioned some ways to reduce stress in terms of emotionally. You spoke about that a little bit because, like you mentioned
Yeah.
before, that's so important. It's not
Yeah, let's
or
dig
that,
into
it's
that.
this and or that. And it's this and that. It's like it's not, I think it's both
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, you can't just rely on the physical body and the nervous system and forget about the emotional stuff, because the emotions are like what is creating stress. It's the emotions, right? It's what is happening on the inside, is what you think about something. So of course, if your nervous system is amped up for a really long time and you don't manage to get your body into stress, we know that it will create more and more of the darker thoughts. You will get more irritated. You will notice the stuff which is annoying. Like your thoughts will get blacker, if we can put it like that. And that is because being in stress is a place where you're supposed to either flee or fight with like a lion, and there's no need for the brain to go into empathy and love and connection and seeing possibilities and creativity. Is just like, where is the dangerous thing? I need to fight it. So So having a physical body that is amped up with a lot of stress, maybe running around here and there, doing a lot of stuff, drinking a lot of coffee, over a while, and then sleeping too little, maybe over a while, your thoughts will become darker and darker because it's a natural result of being in stress. And the darker the thoughts become, the more that becomes a habit. And having dark thoughts, or I'm just saying dark, just like unconstructive thoughts.
Thoughts basically that don't serve you, if I understand you correctly.
Yeah,
What?
thoughts that don't serve you, like this is annoying, or he's stupid, or why did that happen, and blah blah blah. And those thoughts again will increase the stress levels, and then you have this ping pong ball effect. So we can't like separate it. We need to work in from both ways. And when it comes to the emotional and the mental body, and there's so much stuff to do. And one thing, of course, has to do with everything that is stored from our childhood, which is creating stress. That could maybe be another episode.
That's, uh,
Because that is doing a lot of inner child work and releasing, that emotional stress, which is important. And remember that it's a process, and we're in this for life. And where can we start now? I think by really becoming aware of the thoughts which are going through our head every day, which we're not aware of. And as we mentioned earlier, a lot of us are criticizing ourselves, blaming ourselves, feeling guilty. Oh, I said I was going to go to the gym and I didn't. Now I feel guilty. I criticize myself. These thoughts, this way of speaking to ourselves, is creating stress hormones. And the more we do it, the more stress it creates. And this is the inner hidden stress, which we don't notice. Yeah. And then it amps up the stress system, the physical body gets stressed. And as we said, when the physical body gets stressed, the mind gets darker, and then we have the ping pong ball effect. So really being aware, if we criticize ourselves, we feel guilt and all that stuff. It is natural. It's a part of it's a survival mechanism, and we could go into that later also, but it has to do with our self-esteem. If we don't feel that we are enough, our brains will think that we need to be more perfect in order to be valuable, in order to get acceptance and belong to our tribe. And our brain thinks that if we if we don't think that we're valuable, our brain thinks that we're in danger, that we might lose our place in the tribe. If you're not valuable, then maybe people will push you out of the tribe. So it's a natural mechanism when you are criticizing yourself and pushing yourself and feeling all that guilt, because your brain thinks that by pushing you towards perfection, you will be safe. So everything has to do with survival. And by recognizing that we can and becoming aware of it, we can, stop and say, does this really serve me? Does this contribute to the life I want to live, the feelings I want to have on the inside? And most probably it doesn't. And we can practice changing our thoughts, really, like becoming aware. We can write them down and, okay, what feelings do this the thoughts create? How does it limit me? What thoughts can I have instead? And how will that help me? And then start practicing that. And at the same time, also start the process of doing more personal work, because changing our thoughts relies a little bit on willpower, right? So it's a long path to go if we only want to go down that path where we change our thoughts. So doing the inner work, releasing old stuff from the unconscious mind, which I advise finding someone who's good at. There's so many people who are good at that work. So so much you can do on your own, and really you get quicker results when you work with other people, and also just be part of a community where people are talk about this stuff. That helps a lot. So yeah, there's so much to be said about that. But let's just like, where can we start? Become aware. Like if you criticize yourself, you feel a lot of guilt and shame and all that stuff, that creates stress. If you, and we have a tendency, like I'm speaking for myself, like before I used to be like annoyed if there was a lot of mess in the house, or annoyed if this and this happened. Like, everyday stuff which is really not important. Like now our dishwasher is broken. It has been for a week. I'm doing all the dishes by hand. And the earlier version of me would have been like, oh, I have to do the dishes by hand. It's taking so much time and it creating a lot of just being annoyed with it. And being annoyed creates stress. And how does that contribute to the life you want to live? It doesn't. So practicing, as you mentioned earlier, acceptance and letting go. So and I shared on Instagram today also, we have mice in our house. They're like, and I can hear them in the roof. The dishwasher just broke. I just broke something else. A lot of things are just like, everyday problems. I could choose to make a lot of being annoyed and all that stuff around it, or I can choose to let it go. And it's a practice, it's a habit. We need to practice it. And we need, again, to check in with ourselves, like the motivation for doing it, because our brain wants to go down the path of being annoyed. It's the path of less resistance. And it's the path the brain wants to go because it wants to notice everything which is dangerous, and everything that you connect something uncomfortable to is dangerous for the brain. So it
Right.
focuses on it in case it's dangerous. So you need to again check in with the emotions you want to have and what habits can give you those, and that will give you motivation to let go. And one last thing,
Beautiful.
start by practicing the easy things in everyday life. Oh, I spilled my coffee all over the floor. Okay, I can breathe, I can relax, I can let go of it. And then when you get good at accepting the minor stuff, you can start practicing on the bigger challenges.
Wow, you said over here so many important things. It's like I don't even know where to start. You know, if you'll have more time for in the future, I'm sure we could do another episode about so much things that you said. I do want to touch on something that you just now mentioned throughout, back and forth. A lot of it has to do with reframing, basically things that we went through and giving them a meaning, something that serves us. So you also spoke about also reframing the meaning, also the words that we say. So we want words that can serve us. And at the end of the day, instead, like sometimes you ask someone who's your biggest enemy, and they'll start thinking about people, but then many times it's us. Like we're the ones that with the most criticism comes from us. No, the most complaints comes from like about ourselves. And when we reframe and understand, okay, wait, maybe what happened over there is actually, maybe that mouse, oh, here's some noise, whatever. Like that's something small, but like you said, start from the small things. Don't go now to this huge thing that you had in life that caused this big disaster and start from there. It won't hope. It's like someone never ran before, never did pull-ups, whatever. You can't start from 100. You start from maybe half, and then you get stronger and stronger every time. So I think that's really important to understand. In addition to that, I just want to add and say that when it comes to reframing and when it comes to doing those things, I'll always go back to what you said at the beginning. You must put work into it, and it's a process. Life is a process, you know. One day you might not be here. I almost died 4 times this year. So I'm saying it's not, we're here in a process. We have no clue what's going to be tomorrow. And just understand that, reframe, put those emotions to ones that can serve you. We have thoughts, like you said, write them down because many times they'll just continue coming here. But when you write it down, you'll say, hey, wait, I just wrote, no, that doesn't make any sense. Or no, I just made this up in my mind. Like, is it, we probably both know Byron Katie and her thoughts, like, is it real? All that. So I really appreciate, bringing so much knowledge and so much wisdom into this talk. And I'll talk for someone that is now, sitting on the couch and saying, like, they spoke about some, like, Anniken said beautiful stuff, but I don't even know where to start. And number one or number two, the one that will say, yeah, I heard all that. So number one, if you're sitting on the couch, I hope it's a nice, comfortable couch, but soon get up to do a walk. But if you're sitting there and saying those things, so just start like Anniken said, start with the small steps. Don't try, like if you're doing nothing, don't try to do everything. It won't work. Might work for a week, for two, for a month, won't work. It's like your brain, you're working against it, you'll create explosion. So small steps, focus on something. If it's too much, focus on one thing and small step, low fruits, like Anakin said. And if you're from the ones that say, yeah, I heard all this, so I want to ask you a question I'm asking also myself. Okay, you heard all this, so why nothing's changing in your life? Like if you know all this for all these years, so sometimes I realize I'll say it by myself, I can listen to the same lectures again and again, and then I ask myself, wait, I heard this so many times. Like, what can I take from here and actually, implement into my life? So if you know all that, Amazing, great. Now ask, okay, things are not changing in your life, or they're changing, but you want some more change. So what can you do? Take some things for, the beautiful wisdom that Anniken brought here, and start doing it. And again, slowly, step by step. So really, Anniken, thank you very much for everything. So much things that you said are so important. And that's beautiful. You also mentioned, going to therapists and coaches. Where can people reach you? I know you also have a book coming out in English. I think it's this year, right? Pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah, it's coming up pretty soon. So I think the best way to find me is on Instagram. I check in there every day, so feel free to send me a message there on Anniken Binz on Instagram.
Okay, perfect. So I'll put a link there, and if someone wants to contact you, that would be the best place.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, enjoy washing your dishes with your hand. Hopefully, maybe you might be doing a better job than the dishwasher, and
Maybe.
it's also some good
Thank you
exercise.
so thank you so much for the conversation.
For sure. Thank you. It was great, and I hope to see you pretty soon. Have a great day. All right.